Welcome to Season 5, Episode 3 of COMMCast. I'm your host, Alexandra Huerta. COMMCast is a production of the Longwood University Communication Studies Department and the COM 434 CommLab class. This show is dedicated to highlighting the Longwood and Farmville communities. So let's get started. Joining us on set today is Dr. Yemaja Jubilee. Dr. Jubilee recently hosted the first Juneteenth July Jubilee, a Juneteenth celebration over July 4th weekend at Twin Lakes State Park in Green Bay, Virginia. Dr. Jubilee, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
So, can you give your viewers a background as of 2021, Juneteenth became a holiday. So could you tell us more what Juneteenth is?
Yes, I'll be more than happy to. Juneteenth became a holiday on the 21st because of the efforts of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation and Dr. Oprah Lee. Juneteenth, which was June 19th, right, got started because during the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, that was an act of just something that he wanted to do so that the slave masters would not have ways to get money in the South, the Confederacy, the Confederate state. That was a tactical move, and it freed all the slaves that were in the states that were part of the Confederacy. But there were some people in Texas that did not get the word till 2 years later, all right? And that was 1865, 2 years later. So what happened was the colored troops marched to Texas, and what they did was they marched through the streets and they told the enslaved people that they were free. General Granger did not read to tell them that they were free. So they got free 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. All of enslavement was not gone until February 1st, when the Freedom Day, when the 13th Amendment was assigned. But Juneteenth started in Texas. They first celebrated it in Texas, and then it moved, and Dr. Ronald Myers took on this task of making Juneteenth a national holiday. So now when he signed it, the first pen was given to Dr. Oprah Lee, who did the march of 2.5 miles in each state to make Juneteenth a national holiday. So it's a celebration of cultural heritage, freedom, fun, partying, educating people. It's a lot of fun. And we did that at the lake.
Yes. Could you tell us about the Juneteenth July Jubilee and what were your inspirations for that?
My inspirations was a dream. I had put together in 2023 a Juneteenth celebration in Twin Lakes in the Prince Edward, used to be the old dance hall that my daddy had built. All right? And I honored my father, Reverend Dr. John Henry Brown, at the first Juneteenth. I put together the whole program around having Juneteenth made the way that it was supposed to be put on, because I had watched what people were doing as an observation. They needed to do something else. So what happened was, after that celebration that night, I went to bed, and I had a dream. I had a dream that I was walking barefoot on the shores of Twin Lakes on that side of the lake, and I was hugging Dr. Oprah Lee. And so that's how it came to be. And my father always said, dream on it, sleep on it, pray on it, get up, get on it, okay? So that's what I did. And one of the people that my dad mentored was at the Juneteenth celebration, the first one that I co-produced at the lake, Kenneth Hodges. My daddy mentored him. And he told me that anything you want to do, I will back you financially. So that's when I started. I got the lake involved, and I built the CCC team, Connect, Communicate, and Collaborate, named in honor of the 1390 Black Battalion with the Civilian Conservative Corps. That's what it was called under President Roosevelt. So I took the C's and changed it, and it happened. And it got together 18-member team, and George Gaston from here at Longwood was a part of that team as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's producing this event today, and we're so excited to have you with this. But could you also tell us who the guest of honor was who your guest of honor was at this event?
Dr. Oprah Lee, who was 97 years old, she was the guest of honor. She came from Texas. We had a limousine. We had a private chef for her, who is with me today, Aranda Young. She stayed in the house that was provided by the lake, and her daughter Promise came with her. Aranda was her private chef, and we put together a whole program. Like that Friday night, she arrived at the Richmond airport. The mayor was there to greet her and our hospitality team, and then they brought her to the lake on that Friday night. And we had we had a meal, we had music, we had live music, and we had lots of dancing to go on in the hall, and she spoke that night, right? Dr. Oprah Lee house got burned down when she was 12 years old on Juneteenth in Texas. So she remembered that event all her life. And so she started campaigning for Juneteenth to be a holiday. So Dr. Oprah Lee is an elder activist who's world known, and she just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, of Honor. That's said freedom, yes.
That's an absolutely incredible story.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of the Juneteenth July Jubilee event?
Hugging Dr. Oprah when she got out of the car.
So sweet.
I get emotional about it because I had dreamed this. I mean, hugging what I had dreamed about, that dream became a reality of all the work that had been put in. And when she got out of the limousine service that was provided by Bland Reed Funeral Home here in Farmville, right? I hugged her, and it was just, it was like a hallelujah moment. I could do my mama's holy shout, right? It was so amazing to be heart to heart with this. That was the best moment of my life. There was another moment when I saw the reception of how people received her. That was the other moment.
So what are the future plans for the Connect, Communicate, and Collaborate team?
Well, we won't be doing anything for Juneteenth in 2025, all right? We're having the premiere of the film that George has produced, and we're going to take a break and plan to do something in February of 2026. Will be a celebration of Freedom Day, which was the signing of the 13th Amendment that freed all enslaved people. And I'm looking now and processing where it needs to be on a plantation, where we will ring 13 bells and have a whole ceremony around that, and lots of other educational activities. That'll be 2026. In 2025, I'm now going to be on the National Freedom Day Celebration board. I'm now on their advisory board. So I'll be working with them through 2025 to get ready for 2026, because I'm going to bring the president. I want to bring the president of that board here as well. In 2020, also what I would like to do is to be able to just take a break there, because it takes a long time to plan things. And I've been working on this since June 2023. So 25, I'll take a little break, and then I got a new book that will come out on Juneteenth in June 25. It's called Stick a Fork in It, It's Done, The Sankofa of Our Journey, which will be out in June 2025. So I got to finish that book, right? So, I'm an author, I write books, so I want to write another book about my dad's history, and that's what I'm working on. Two other things that I'm working on. I'm working on getting the road that go by my daddy's house and that I lived on named in honor of my mother and my father, number one, through Charlotte County. Number two, I'm working on getting the state to name the building after the 1390 Black Battalion on Prince Edward. I'm working with them to get that done. And it takes a lot of red tape to go through to get the state to rename something. So those will be something that I'll be working on in the meantime. And then also in 2025, I have a lot of speaking engagements as well. I do speaking, spoken word, and all of that. So that's what I'm going to kind of cruise through that. But we'll start planning for the next year, for 2026. It takes a year to put stuff together. We'll start get the outline, put the particulars in place, get a student to work with us for that. So it's a lot to do. That's some of the plans that I have currently.
There's so many exciting things coming forward. One thing for our final question is I want to ask you, what is the lesson that everyone can learn from Juneteenth?
The lesson that they can learn is that it's not Black history, it's American history. All right? All My ancestors built the Capitol, they built the White House, and yet still people don't want to realize it, that even though that I had, my grandmother, great-grandmother lived to be 105 years old. She was the daughter of the slave master, okay? What people can learn is go back and research their history, embrace their history, and don't hold animosity toward white people. Because, I mean, I don't hold that kind of animosity. Embrace all people. Listen and not try to make them feel guilty, because they were not living in that time. But also the truth. It's about trust, truth, thankfulness, and togetherness.
Thank you so much for all of your beautiful answers and your time. Now we're going to go to a very exciting part, so let's take a quick break and we'll be back with COMMCast Trivia. So, for our first question, when and where was the first Juneteenth held?
It was held in Texas in 1865.
Let's see. Yay! So for our second question is, which U.S. president signed Juneteenth into a national holiday?
President Joe Biden.
Let's see. And that's correct. So for our final question, what city will be the future home of the National Juneteenth Museum opening in 2026?
Galveston, Texas. Fort Worth. Fort Worth.
But in Texas.
Texas, yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to Dr. Yemaja Jubilee for joining us today, and thanks to everyone with CommLab behind the scenes, and thank you for watching. Join us live next Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. on YouTube for another episode of CommCast.